If you always forget the words in English and you want to change that, this video is for you. Hey student, I am Teacher Prix and I'm going to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Thank you so much for watching this lesson. Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my weekly videos. Now guys, important observation. If you want to stop forgetting the words in English, this video is going to give you 3 tips. But as I give you the ideas, the recommendations, I'm going to teach you new words. Yeah, so that you understand how to implement the recommendations that I'm going to give in this lesson. Then, at the end of the video, I invite you to post a comment and tell me if you learned a new word in today's lesson, okay? So we have a deal. Now, guys, the tip number 1, I want you to link your vocabulary practice with stories, okay? And not stories from Instagram, okay? Stories. And here's the reason why. Our brain loves stories, okay? The most famous books in the world are based on stories, whether you believe them or not, okay? And it's easier for the brain to save information when it's connected with a story. I imagine you remember your favorite cartoons when you were a child. There is probably 1 or 2 or 3 stories that you remember from your favorite cartoon, okay? So start paying attention to your memories. They will all be connected with stories. And the stronger, the more impactful the story is, the easier it'll be for your brain to remember the word or the expression or the phrasal verb. It doesn't matter the type of word. And why does this help the brain? Usually when you tell a story, there are visual elements, auditory elements, kinesthetic elements that will help your brain feel emotions, okay? That will stimulate emotions in your body, in your mind. And because of that, when you connect your vocabulary practice with a story, you are giving a different kind of stimulation to your brain that is connected with emotions. The more we feel connected with something, the more we learn it. But let's do a little practice. As I told you, you are going to test the tips that I'm going to give you in this lesson, okay? Well, I want you to learn the expression, pull someone's leg, okay? Now, you will understand the story and the expression. I promise. Stay with me. When I lived in Boston many years ago, I used to work as an au pair. Au pair is the same as babysitter, okay, but in a specific program. And as a babysitter, as an au pair, I took care of 2 kids. 2 beautiful kids. 1 baby boy, 6 months old, and a little girl, 2 years old. She was very intelligent. And then one day, she learned a new expression. She heard her father saying, "Oh, I'm just pulling your leg." And after that, she could not stop saying, "Nah, I'm just pulling your leg." And well, she would make the craziest phrases. She would come to me and say, "Priscilla, look, there are blue birds outside." Where? Where, Mitchell? "Nah, I'm just pulling your leg. There are no birds." Seriously, Mitchell? Her name was Mitchell. Then she would come again on another day and she would say, "Priscilla, my stomach hurts." "Oh, really, Mitchell? What's going on?" "Nah, I'm just pulling your leg." And she would even make the voice, "Nah, I'm just pulling your leg." Or she would come to me and say, "Priscilla, I'm going to Cincinnati with Daddy." Another word she learned. She learned about the city, Cincinnati. She heard her father saying, "I'm going to Cincinnati." So she would say that all the time. "I'm going to Cincinnati. Bye, I'm going to Cincinnati." So she told me, "Priscilla, I'm going to Cincinnati." "Really? When?" "Nah, I'm just pulling your leg." Now, guys, Can you understand the context here? When you say, I'm just pulling your leg, or I'm pulling your leg, I'm saying I'm joking with you. It's not true. She didn't see blue birds, outside. She's joking. She's just pulling my leg. She's joking with me. The examples I gave you were true. She loved this expression. And why did she memorize that expression? Because she was always making a joke, always making a joke. And she learned that expression with her father, who used it one day. And I learned that expression because of her. And then nowadays, I'm telling you a story about a little girl who learned an expression in English and how I'm teaching you now. So it's a story. Maybe you found the story funny, maybe stupid, maybe, but it's an emotion. And there's a very good chance that by the end of the lesson, you will remember at least one expression that I'm teaching you, because I'm already using the tips that I'm giving you in this lesson. Guys, there is always a story you can tell. And learning vocabulary while telling stories about any story, okay? About work, about life, about relationships, about movies you have watched or places you have visited. This is the fastest way to remember information, to stop forgetting, because we don't forget stories that matter, that are many important stories in your life, and I'm sure you will remember them. And when you connect your vocabulary practice with stories about your life or things that are relevant to you, you stop forgetting, you start remembering. Tip number 2, self-test. Guys, you need to recall, to review information on a regular basis. Students often believe that reviewing information means, okay, I have this, I'm going to read again. Okay, I reviewed. That's not it. Just reading again what you wrote, or looking at your flashcard again and just reading in your head quietly. Okay, next flashcard. Okay, next flashcard. Oh, this is not going to help you. You're not testing yourself. If this is all you do, you will keep forgetting vocabulary. You will not stop, okay? Instead of only reading the words you learned or just reading the examples from the flashcard, you need to force yourself to remember what that word means and how to use that word. So let's take a look at another practical example so that you understand what I'm teaching here. Let's take a look at the phrasal verb drop by, okay? Drop by means to pay an informal visit. You visit someone informally. You visit a friend or family member. To visit. Now, let's suppose you have a flashcard app. Okay, fine. Hopefully 100% in English, right? And then you put the explanation in English, no translation. You put the phrasal verb, and then you write an example. Ideally, this example is a story. From tip number 1, you create a short story, and then you insert in your flashcard or in your notebook. I don't like flashcards, honestly. I use paper and pen, okay? But if you prefer using a flashcard app. So here, let me write a short story, because the stories don't need to be long. They can be short, okay? So take a look at the screen. Here's my example. Every time I go to my parents' house, I usually spend the weekend at their place. I always make sure to drop by my grandma, who lives 10 minutes away from my parents. I always make sure to visit my grandma, who lives 10 minutes away from my parents. So I always make sure to go there, to visit her, to drop by. This is a story that is true in my life. Now, the tip number 2 is self-test. When you decide to review, you will need to follow the idea that I'm going to recommend. Of course, that your review will not be 5 minutes later, okay? Here, for the purpose of this video, I'm showing you the review now, the self-test now. But in real life, you will wait 1 day, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, before you go back to the same word and review, self-test. But here's where you go differently. I look at drop by, I don't look at the explanation. I force myself to remember drop by, orally. Orally, okay? And then if you connected drop by with a story, that's where the magic happens. You will remember it more easily. Grandma, my grandma. Yeah, I dropped by my grandma. Yes, to visit. Good. Okay, it means to visit someone. If you don't remember, it's okay. This is practice. Then you can go and read the example that you created aloud. Fine, no problems. But now there's more, okay? You try to remember by yourself. If you did, good job. Then you can take a look at the flashcard, read the example aloud. Very nice. If you didn't remember, no problems either. Now you go, read the flashcard aloud, and fine. But now, here's what most students don't do. You will create a new story, a new example, connecting with a story. Remember, that's how you strengthen your ability to memorize information. This is the self-test part. Only reading what you wrote will not be enough if you want to expand your vocabulary and stop forgetting the words. So I need to create a new one. So I have another story to tell. You know, this is true. My sister sometimes drops by just to use my printer. It is true. I have a printer. She doesn't have a printer. So she just drops by to use my printer. Can you believe that? Why doesn't she buy one? Why does she have to drop by just to use my printer? So she visits me informally just to use my things. Boom, review, test, create, story, okay? Stories fire up your brain. You will stop forgetting stuff when you connect the lessons with things that matter. Now, guys, before I give you tip number 3, I would like to invite you to subscribe to my channel. Every week I bring different kinds of English lessons to help you unlock your English fluency. If you have already subscribed, make sure to share this lesson with your friend. Now, tip number 3. Birds of a feather flock together. Do you know this saying? Birds of a feather flock together. This means that people with similar interests or similar characteristics usually stay together. They form a group. So birds of a feather flock together. People who are similar, people who like similar things, people who have similar characteristics usually stay together. Now, what is the tip? It means vocabulary grouping. Word grouping. This is an organization tip. When you're studying vocabulary, it's important that you group words together. But here is the catch. Sometimes the students will understand this as, so adjectives, verbs, nouns, phrasal verbs. No, it's possible. But I like a better way to do that to help my brain remember information better, more efficiently, which is to group words according to a subject, not simply the type of word. This is a phrasal verb. This is a noun. No, you can do that, but grouping words according to a conversation subject will be more efficient and you will stop forgetting words, okay? Here's an example. I have recently studied about Boston, one of my favorite places in the United States, because I lived in Boston for 2 years. And while I watched some videos about Boston, I learned some advanced expressions and verbs to describe cities, to describe different environments in a city. My focus while I was studying about Boston was on the cultural and historical aspects of the city, since Boston is a place steeped in history. Boston is steeped in history. What is to be steeped in? I just used an advanced expression with you guys. Yes. When I say Boston is steeped in history, I say that Boston has a lot of a particular quality. So Boston has a lot of history. Yes, you can learn a lot in Boston. There you have it. I'm telling you a story. I am self-testing because I'm using the expression that I learned. And I used different examples. I have 3 more examples in my notebook. I'm testing. And I am grouping these words, not right now, because I'm just giving you the idea. So when I studied about historical and cultural things about Boston, I connected the vocabulary practice. So I grouped the words based on the subject, on the conversation subject I was studying. That's why I memorize much more, okay? Don't simply study the words by the type of word. Group the words according to the subjects you want to talk about. That way, when you come back to review, you will remember more. It'll be easier, and with time, you will get better and you will remember more information. This is practice. This takes a bit of time. All in all, to stop forgetting words in English, you need to establish better study and review habits. Follow the recommendations I gave you in this lesson. There were 3 very good recommendations, and implement them for at least 21 days. 21 days and you will be gold, okay? You will notice a tremendous difference. And you have work to do. What did you learn in this lesson? What are 3, 2 words, or at least 1 word you have learned in this lesson? Let's see how much you have learned. Other than that, share this lesson with your friends, and I'll see you next time. Bye!